Hello everyone, welcome to yet another session of the daily news analysis by SRIRAM'S IAS, where we take up the important articles featuring in the Hindu newspaper and break them down for our understanding from the UPSC examination point of view. So let's start our today's discussion by taking the important articles which feature in the Hindu newspaper. So let's take up the first article. The first article which appears in the newspaper reads, Understanding the Global Hunger Index. Now this is an infamous index. This has become an infamous one since the past 2 years, where it has been ranking India very low. So this time the Global Hunger Index has ranked India 107 out of the 121 countries that it assessed. And this index is basically an index to measure the availability of nutritious and healthy food to the country's residents, and that is why the Global Hunger Index has ranked India very low as 107. So from the examination point of view and from the article, what becomes important for us is to know about the Global Hunger Index, which organization publishes this, what are the parameters of this index. This would become important from the prelims examination point of view. And then why has the government discarded it or protested against this index and disputed its rankings. So we'll try to take into account the reasons given by Indian government and also the organization which prepares this index. What do they have to say on it? So let's understand these points. So who publishes the Global Hunger Index? It is jointly published by an NGO concerned worldwide and World Hunger Life. These two international NGOs together published the Global Hunger Index. It was first produced in 2006 and produced in every year in October, and the 2022 edition marks the 17th edition of the Global Hunger Index. So this is the organization which publishes this, and this would be its 17th edition. What is the index there for? It is to comprehensively measure and track hunger at the global, regional and country levels. So as we know, to eliminate hunger from the world or to achieve zero hunger is an important goal enumerated in the SDG or Sustainable Development Goals, is the SDG number 2 in the number of goals that we have, and that is why to achieve zero hunger, basically to eliminate hunger from the world, is an important mission that the United Nations also through its sustainable goals is embarking upon, and that is where the Global Hunger Index is given priority. So it aims to measure the level of hunger so that it gives a clearer picture as to how to erase the hunger. So how is it calculated? It is based on 4 parameters. So the scores of the countries are taken on 4 major parameters, and those parameters pertain to the nutritional levels of the residents in the country. So what are these parameters? First is undernourishment, which means that share of the population with insufficient caloric intake, which means that residents of the country would be marked on the basis of how much food they are taking. If the food they are taking in is very less than what they're supposed to, then they would be put under the undernourishment category, which would mean that they are undernourished. So that is the first parameter. The second parameter is of child wasting. Child wasting means that share of children under age 5 who have low weight for their height, reflecting acute undernutrition. So measuring child wasting is also a form of measuring undernutrition, wherein the child wasting is basically for children who are young, under the age of 5, who do not achieve the enough height enough weight according to their age, are known as wasted. So this is the phenomenon of child wasting. This would also indicate undernutrition on their part, because if according to their age their weight is not increasing, it would reflect undernutrition. That is why child wasting is kept as one of the parameter. The third parameter is child stunting. Child stunting is the share of children under age 5 again who have low height for their age, reflecting chronic undernutrition. So child stunting is another parameter to measure, wherein now according to the age, that is children below 5 are taken into account, the height, their height is taken into account. So if with respect to their age the requisite height is less than what it should be for these young kids, it means that the children are stunted. So this also is a parameter to measure hunger levels. And then is child mortality. This is again the mortality rate of children under the age of 5. How many children under the age of 5 are facing deaths, and that defines for us child mortality. So these are the 4 parameters that the Global Hunger Index chooses. These parameters become important for us from the prelims examination point of view. So this was our discussion on it. So now what is on these parameters, how are the countries scored? So based on the values of these 4 indicators, the Global Health Index Hunger Index determines hunger on a 100-point scale. So the score goes from 0 to 100, where 0 is the best possible score, which means that there is no hunger in the country, and 100 is the worst. So where does India lie? India scores 29.1 out of 100, which is placed in the serious category. So each country's Global Hunger Index score is classified by severity, from low to moderate to serious to alarming to extremely alarming, and India's 29.1 score out of 100 puts it into the serious category by the index. So this is the state of the index right now. What is India's scenario with respect to these parameters? How has India scored on these finer parameters? Let's take a look at that. So when we first take the child wasting rate, low weight for height, this is at 19.3% India scored, and this is even worse than levels recorded in 2014 and even 2000. So we can see that the child wasting rate is actually increasing. It was 17.5, 15.1, and it has now gone on to 19.3%, which means that the number of children who are attaining low weight for their height are becoming more. Then this makes it this is the highest for any country and drives up the region's average owing to India's large population. Now then we come to the next parameter, which was of undernourishment. So India's undernourishment score is also not very good, which is a measure of the proportion of the population facing chronic deficiency of dietary energy intake. We discussed this. This has also risen in the country from 14.6% to 16.3% in the present index. This translates to 224.3 million people in India considered undernourished. This is a huge figure. But India has shown improvement on other parameters. Which are these parameters? So 2 parameters, child wasting and undernourishment, India has shown degraded performance, but 2 parameters, that is child stunting, which was a requisite height with respect to the age of the kids, this has declined from 38.7% to 35% between the year 2014 and 2022, and as well as the child mortality, which has also dropped from 4.6% to 3.3% in the same comparative period. So India has done well on 2 parameters, child stunting and child mortality, but it has failed on or seen degradation on 2 more parameters, that is child wasting and undernourishment. So this is India's state with respect to the performance in the parameters. And where does India stand with respect to our neighboring countries? So this is another highlight from the report, which is similar to last year, that India is even behind countries such as Bangladesh and Pakistan, where most of the neighboring countries, Pakistan has a rank of 99, Nepal and Bangladesh at 76, and Sri Lanka at 64. So these neighboring countries are also ahead of India, and one can say that India is lagging behind these countries in the Global Hunger Index. But India, through its Ministry of Women and Child Development, did not accept this index. It registered major protest with it and said that the methodology that the organization uses to calculate hunger in the country and to calculate the level of undernourishment in the country is very inaccurate. So it therefore disputed the report. So as per the Ministry of Women and Child Development, the report lowers India's rank based on the estimates of the proportion of undernourished population. So what does it accuse? Let's take a look at that. It elaborates that the US Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, estimate is based on the Food Insecurity Experience Scale. This is a particular scale which is prepared, which is nothing but a survey wherein the survey taker would be asked certain questions and they would be answering the questions. So this Food Insecurity Experience Scale is what the organization uses. But India says that this survey module conducted using the Gallup World Poll that bears a sample size of only 3,000 respondents. So India actually says that this particular survey is based on the the response taken from a sample size of 3000 respondents, which is a very minute figure when you compare it to the huge population size of India. And that becomes the central point for India to oppose this index. Now, what is the Global Hunger Index organization stand on it? It says that all the data that it has taken to calculate that index, it has basically taken from the government sources itself. So FAO uses a suite of indicators on food security, including two important indicators: prevalence of undernourishment and prevalence of moderate or severe food insecurity, based on the food insecurity experience scale. So this GHI only uses the POU, or the proportion of undernourished population obtained through food balance sheets, based on data reported by member countries including India. So this is the controversy between these two countries, and India especially feels that all the initiatives that it has taken, especially the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana during the times of pandemic, wherein the Indian government made special efforts to ensure that even during the times of pandemic there is enough food security to the people, especially the migrants who faced acute crisis in this time. So this is the discussion with respect to the Global Hunger Index, and with this, let's move on to our next article for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads Food Day as a reminder of leave no one behind. So it seems that the articles are coming quite in the same arena, wherein the first article which we discussed, we talked about global hunger, and even this article talks about the concept of food security. Why? Because this yesterday 16th October was celebrated as the World Food Day. So on this aspect, officials from the Food Agriculture Organization of the UN write this article to take a stock of how India is actually faring in its journey of ensuring food security to its residents. So let's take a look at how India has progressed in this manner. So they rely on two different reports. They say that today around 828 million people worldwide do not have enough to eat, and over 50 million people are facing severe hunger. This gives us a worldwide picture of how many people are facing food crisis. 828 million people do not have enough to eat, and they rely on two indexes: the Hunger Hotspots Outlook, a report by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, and the World Food Programme. So they rely on the Hunger Hotspots Outlook, which says that hunger is escalating as over 205 million people across 45 countries will need emergency food assistance to survive in the coming years to come. So this is the picture that they paint, wherein it is said that this food crisis will only intensify where the global rises or the global prices of the food commodities are increasing. There is increasing disturbances in the global supply chain. Russia-Ukraine war is going on. The post-pandemic economic revival of many countries is very slow to take place, which will only increase this problem of food insecurity for people not just in India but worldwide. And this issue is discussed, as we said, because World Food Day was celebrated on 16th October, the theme of which is to leave no one behind, which is to basically ensure equitable and inclusive distribution of food for people all around the world. Now, let's look at how India has done with respect to ensuring food security to its residents, especially after the time of its independence. So the authors say, much contrary to what we maybe saw to the Global Hunger Index, the authors say that India has had an inspiring journey towards better production and achieving self-sufficiency, and is now one of the largest agricultural product exporters. So India's journey with respect to ensuring food security to its residents has rather been one can say a applaudable one, because we started at a point during independence where we did not have enough to eat, but during the years we made sure that certain systems were put in place which not just made us self-sufficient with respect to agriculture production, but now a time has come where India is also one of the largest agricultural product exporters with respect to many commodities. So during the year 2021-2022, it recorded $49.6 billion in total agricultural exports, and that is a 20% increase from the last year. So this shows that India is on a progressive path with respect to its agricultural exports, the commodity that it is exporting out of the country. But this has taken major shocks. How has it taken major shocks? The recent climate events have raised concern about India's wheat and rice production over the year. For example, the past week saw torrential rains in Delhi, and the normal monsoon season of Delhi did not receive much rainfall at all. So this disbalance in the amount of rainfall that the city and other parts of India that they are receiving is attributed to the increasing effects of climate change. And what this has done is the Kharif crop season of paddy, which is generally sown in the parts of Haryana, cities like Sonipat, Panipat, here the farmers are indulge in paddy cultivation. So their paddy crops have faced a severe hit due to this disbalanced amount of rain, where in the monsoon season rain did not come and now torrential rain occurred in a span of 1 week. This has resulted into major crop damage. So when such kind of events come and climate shocks are faced by the farmers, this direct impact of this is faced by the crops, which if they do not receive rainfall at the right time and in the right amount, it does lead to their deterioration, and this is what is becoming a major problem. But apart from this, India has done well in ensuring food security through its major schemes. And what is the first major act that India uses in this regard? It is the National Food Security Act. This is a act passed in the parliament in year 2013, which was basically mandated to ensure cheap food grains at cheap prices to the people who are living in below poverty line. So it ensures, including the rural and urban, to around 2/3 of Indian population, it ensures food grains. So this has done a major contribution to ensure food security. And how does it provide these food grains to the citizens? It is through the targeted public distribution system, which means that these food grains are procured by the farmers generally at the minimum support price. Then the state governments procure these food grains, and they are supposed to supply these food grains via the fair distribution shops, or what we commonly call as the ration shops. Through these shops, the food grains are supplied to them, and this is how the mechanism of ensuring food security takes place. The next scheme is the PM Poshan scheme, which means that this was the earlier known as the midday meal scheme. Through this scheme, the governments provide food, especially afternoon food, to the school going children in the government schools. And the next one is the Integrated Child Development Services. Under the Integrated Child Development Services scheme, we generally have the Anganwadi centers, which are placed as primary health centers in the rural areas, which take care of the neonatal and prenatal care of the lactating mothers and pregnant mothers. So all of this is done to ensure healthy nutrition and food security of the citizens. So the authors say that these schemes and acts in this manner have done well. And therefore, today India's food safety nets collectively reach over 1 billion people. And not just this, as we mentioned before, during the times of COVID, the government maintained poverty levels below 1% in 2020 due to the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. Under this Yojana, the government gave again food grains to the migrants and other people who were not able to access food grains at much cheaper prices, and the quantity of this food grains was also increased, wherein earlier if the food grain quantity was 1 kg, here in the times of COVID 5 kg food grains was provided to them. So this is India's performance. And another thing which is coming in food security journey for India, which the authors highlight, is that although India has done well in this regard, there are many issues which are starting to plague the agriculture sector, which is mandated to fulfill food security of India. What are those issues? First is that nutrition and agriculture production are not only impacted by climate change, but also linked to environmental sustainability. So environmental degradation and climate change are becoming the two most important issues when it comes to increasing our yield in agriculture. How so? We just saw the impact of climate change as to how it is disrupting the crop cycles, and that is why it is resulting into less yield of the crops. Next is how environmental degradation is taking place. First, the soil degradation is taking place by excessive use of chemical fertilizers. Then the non-judicious water use is happening. This happens especially in the parts of Punjab and Haryana, wherein after the Green Revolution, when a lot of water was used for irrigation, what used to happen was that the irrigation pumps used to just be kept open and excessive water was used, and what this has resulted into is the depleted level of groundwater. So the water table in especially in the state of Punjab has gone minimally down. So this is the result of not using the water well. Then is the declining nutritional value of food products. Again, this is happening because of the soil quality degrading, chemical fertilizers being used, so the food quality is also decreasing. And another is the increasing population, where the population of India is only continuously increasing. Therefore, the demand for fulfilling the food needs is only going to intensify in the coming time. So these are some of the issues which are plaguing the agriculture sector right now when it comes to adequate food production. But the authors suggest that one important step that has been taken into this regard is the promotion of millets. Now, millets are such kind of products or food products, generally the examples of which can be given as sorghum, pearl millet, finger millet, ragi. All of these food grains which we know as are collectively called as millets. They have received renewed attention as crops that are good for nutrition, health and the planet. These are touted as the revolutionary product in agriculture which do not require very significant conditions to thrive upon or to grow. They can be grown in certain harsh conditions as well. They are very healthy for the human body, and as well as they are environmentally friendly as well. That is why millets are being pushed, so much so that India is in the UN is wanting to pass a resolution to declare the year 2023 as the International Year of Millets. So these are climate smart crops. They are harder than other cereals, and since they need fewer inputs, they are less extractive for the soil and can revive soil health. Hence, they are friendly for the planet. Additionally, their genetic diversity ensures that agrobiodiversity is preserved. So, India has done well in the millets production, and currently it is the world's leading producer of millets, producing around 41% of total production in 2020. So this has also been supported by the national government by implementing a sub-mission on nutri-cereals as a part of the National Food Security Mission. So this shows the push that Indian government is giving to intensify the production of millets in the country, which is giving dividends to the government, and it needs to be implemented properly in the years to come as well. So this was our discussion on this particular issue, and with this let's move on to our next issue for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads, India's coal mines are severely underutilized amid push for new ones. Now this article is appearing in the newspaper in the context of the coal mines of the country. Now there are various news that come in the nursepaper. We talk about coal shortages. A few months ago we saw that the thermal power plants of the country were facing coal shortage, where if a certain amount of coal was not supplied to them, they would run out of coal and power shortages would be faced. So amid these crises, what Indian government is doing, that it is taking up new coal blocks, or it is opening new coal mines for the companies to mine the coal from. So it has inaugurated 99 coal mines to be opened and mine the coal from them. But a report by Global Energy Monitor, which is a firm that tracks utilization of the fuel source of coal internationally, has said that on average, India's coal mines use only 2/3 of the capacity, with some large ones using only 1%. What this means is that at a time where India is facing a coal shortage and a coal crisis, the move of inaugurating new coal mines is not the right move to do, because the existing coal mines themselves are not providing good dividends, where these existing coal mines only are not utilized fully. So the report says that 2/3 of these mines of their capacity is being used, and in some mines only 1%. So rather than opening new mines, what should be focused is on the proper utilization of coal and proper mining of these existing mines, is what the report says. So through this report, let's understand what this move is all about of opening new coal mines. With this, where are exactly the areas in India where coal reserves are there and coal mines are present in India, and what are the different types of coal that are found in India. So when we talk about types of coal, there are two types of coal in terms of two categories where we classify coal. First category is on the basis of age of formation, as to what time the coal took to form. Now coal is a, one can say, is a fuel source, but how coal is formed is basically the fossils that were degraded years ago. These accumulate and they are especially formed in the sedimentary rocks. So whenever we hear about coal, we attach coal with sedimentary rocks. These are found in sedimentary rocks, and these are fossils and all organic matter that degraded for millions of years and thus formed in the form of a coal. So in India, on the basis of the age of formation, there are two types of coal. One is the Gondwana coal, which is the old coal. Around 98% of India's total coal reserves are from Gondwana times. This coal was formed about 250 million years ago. And the second type of coal on the basis of age is tertiary coal. It is younger in age and was formed from 15 to 60 million years ago. So on the basis of age in India, we have Gondwana coal and tertiary coal. Second classification is on the basis of carbon content present in them. Since this was organic matter that got degraded and decomposed, the major content in them would be the carbon content, and this carbon is exactly what produces energy and releases carbon dioxide. So on the basis of carbon content, India has three major types of coal types. The first is anthracite, which is said to be the best quality of coal because this has the highest grade of carbon containing to around 80 to 95% carbon content. It is hard and brittle in nature. And in India, it is found in smaller quantities in regions of Jammu and Kashmir. The second type of coal which is found is the bituminous coal. It is a medium grade coal having high heating capacity and carries 60 to 80%. So this second grade coal is there because the carbon content in it becomes less. Then the third type of coal is lignite. Again, the carbon content which will further go down. It is the lowest grade coal with the least carbon content, carries carbon around 40 to 55% and found in the regions of Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu and Jammu and Kashmir. So what is the majority type of coal that is found in India? The majority coal that is found in India is of the Gondwana type, which is belonging to the bituminous coal category. It is found in the areas of Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. So if we take a look at in the map, the major coal reserves and hence the coal mines in the country are situated in the states of MP, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Telangana, Northeast and some parts of Jammu and Kashmir. These are the regions where the major coal reserves and coal mines of the country are located. Now let's come to the issue at hand. What the report is saying that rather than utilizing these pre-existing mines, India should not be opening the new mines because India has a 36% underutilized coal capacity in existing mines. This is what the report is saying, which is resulting into 433 million ton per annum. This is the capacity of coal that can be taken out from these existing mines. And how much capacity is the Indian government expecting to take out from the new mines? That is 427 million ton per annum. So what this says is that the amount of coal that we want to extract from the new mines, it can already be taken out, more than that can be taken out from its existing mines. So that is why the report says that opening new mines is not a good idea. And these coal mines under development threaten to displace at least 165 villages and affect 87,000 families, of which 41,000 live in areas where predominant population is tribal communities. Now this is a problem which always occurs whenever we talk about extraction of mineral resources, where either they can be coal or other resources, wherein whenever they are mined, the people who are living in and around the villages in these areas always suffer from displacement. And in this case also, this new mines will displace people from around 165 villages, and it again threatens to destroy their habitat. Apart from the displacement of these people, they also threaten 22,686 hectares of agricultural land and 19,000 hectares of forest land, and will consume at least 1,68,000 kiloliters of water per day. Whenever we open mines, it would be consuming this high amount of water, which can be used by over a million people as their daily water requirement. So these are some of the issues which the report highlights, which would accrue if new coal mines would be opened up in the country. So this was a discussion on the important articles from today's newspaper. We'll meet again tomorrow with the important articles from tomorrow's newspaper. Thank you.